Well, keeping our focus on security, just reviewing what has been put in place, what do we need to do to improve from where we are? Dr. Pogos Bitrus joins us from Abuja. He's the president of Middle Belt Forum. And right beside him, you've got retired Air Vice Marshal Terry Okoju. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, Dr. Bitrus, let me start with you. I mean, yes, indeed, there's been several reports about the unfortunate scenario as it's playing out, not just in the country, but yes, but we know that the Middle Belt also having some peculiar challenges. From what you've seen, the now confirmed Inspector General of Police, the measures that they put in place previously, and the rhetoric coming from him in terms of what they need to do or how they plan to improve securing the country. Are you optimistic that we just may be getting a lot more results and the bad results of hand will become history?
That's a very good observation. The unfortunate situation we find ourselves didn't start today. The new Inspector General has a lot to do, and it's not just the police that can do the job. The whole security architecture has to be looked into. Even the way the war, which they claim is asymmetric, yes, we agree it is being waged is a bit funny. Troops are located to protect communities rather than to fish out where the criminals are and engage them. In some cases, even those that are sent out to engage criminals find themselves being victimized in the end. We have such example which we are handling within the Middle Belt, and we just pray that his coming in, having the wealth of experience he has, would try to improve on the situation towards bringing up lasting peace within the Middle Belt and the whole of the country, because every part of the country is now being challenged by security issues, be it from Boko Haram, from so-called armed bandits, or Fulani herdsmen, or militia, as we may wish to call them. We wish him well. We believe his experience would bring some change and bring improvement, but time would tell. Thank you.
Let me ask you, because I know in Delta there was a recent report.
Me
on that. I hope you can help me, AVM Korodudu. Even in Delta State, there was a recent challenge as well they had with security. But do you think that the confirmation of the IGP will bring in a new, necessitate a new vista in terms of the approach to security challenges in the country?
Well, thank you. Realistically, either acting or confirmed appointment would not make a difference as to the approach to security duties of the Inspector General. I'm not aware there is a major difference between his acting role and his confirmed role. So ideally, what should happen is that the Inspector General of Police and his men and women ought to increase their effort, especially at crime detection and prevention. We do not wait until the crimes are committed or there's an actual threat. The threats themselves have manifested before acting. We ought to act before these threats are known or are confirmed. My take is that the police, as other security services in the country, actually need more men, they need more personnel, they need more equipment. Clearly, they need more community effort Those are the ways that the security challenge can be faced down. We certainly need a lot more men. Even the men we have now that are not sufficient, a lot of them are in the private hands. In other words, when I say private hand, I mean with politicians and other sundry elements within Nigerian society. They're not out there actually fighting crime. Now, if crime is properly fought and security issues are properly looked after, then a lot of the politicians or other personnel or personalities within the Nigerian state may not need to be constantly with security personnel who ought to be working. So those are the ways that we can mitigate the current challenges facing us.
Korodudu, let me ask you this, perhaps the same question in a more direct way, if you like. Given that insecurity is largely local, are you comfortable with the approach that have been adopted so far in fighting all forms of insecurity across the length and breadth of Nigeria?
Well, I am not certain that security is local or security are local. They can manifest locally, but the security itself is really the fear of threat or fear of harm. Now, the issue facing Nigeria as a whole is not necessarily localized to any one state. The absence of real governance issues. Governance is a major aspect of where there's a threat or there's a challenge to security in Nigeria, to speak. All the states, for instance, they have security votes. Do they use those security votes for the purpose for what they meant? So these are the conceptual areas you must look at it. Remove threat from our perception of threat from the society is nothing to do with local. Obviously, there are certain threats that can manifest from ethnic, political, or even social systems within a particular locality. However, the essence of security or absence thereof is an issue of either perception or reality. What we must do is remove those threat perceptions or actual threats. The lack of jobs, for instance, services, security threat. A lack of adequate food security service is in itself. A lack of youth employment. Threats are, it's an omnibus term that affects and afflicts all societies, but at different levels. So number one, the most important job or task of a government, of any government, be it state, local, and the federal, is security. Not only provision of food, but again, if you go into the aspect of saying security is an omnibus word, remove those threat perceptions. If the people feel that going from point A to point B becomes challenged, right? And they will not have perhaps a feeling that they move from Lagos to Ibadan without fear of being accosted by armed robbers, even accosted by the police or by other security services. So those things just keep escalating, the perception, the anxiety factors. So there are many, many things. Fear is not generally only local, but the manifestation of it can be local. But the issue of security is a national question as we speak. Not only even national, it's also international, because what we face today is an onslaught of people coming from all parts of the world, especially from across the Sahel, the African Sahel, into Nigeria, thinking that perhaps there's a situation in Nigeria they need to take advantage of. So those are the things that are ongoing in our country.
But you mentioned the word the other time. You talked about the the community angle to it, what the local politicians, the people in the communities themselves need to do. That's why, you know, the issue of the word being local came about. And then you also mentioned now that the security threats are local. So again, are you comfortable with the kind of cooperation that is happening between security operatives and the people in the communities in the fight against this whole insecurity, you know, in the length and breadth of the nation? Are you comfortable with it as a security expert?
Absolutely not. Still not comfortable. I'm fully aware that the cooperation between the security services and the local communities are largely absent. Recently, the Inspector General of Police was talking about the community policing, which is good. It's essential. It's essential. Community policing is essential. The president himself has talked about it. You cannot necessarily have a peaceful environment vis-a-vis security services, the local population, without gaining intelligence from or cooperation from these local communities. They know. They are the people on ground. They will tell you who the bad guys are, and perhaps hear, prior to the police hearing, about the potential threat situation. So if the local community is not comfortable, that if they go and perhaps give information to the police, that information will be kept confidential, not necessarily the information being kept confidential, but that the source of the information is kept confidential, then the crime will keep occurring without the police being aware, and will start running like a headless chicken trying to find out who did it. So ideally, the community ought to be interested in showing that they have a safe society, and the police ought to be happy, or in fact ought to be keen in ensuring that societies in which they act or which they are placed to act upon or to govern or to manage stay safe. Otherwise, one would imagine that ideally the Inspector General of Police should hold accountable the commissioners of police to ensure that crimes taking place they are held accountable. The president himself ought to hold the Inspector General of Police accountable. We talk about the police. Police is not just about the only organ responsible. The Directorate of State Security, the military intelligence, and other intelligence services ought to be engaged 24/7 to ensure that these challenges are mitigated.
Dr. Bitrus, how do you suggest we improve the relationship between the citizens and the police? Because when you talk about community effort, if members of the community don't feel comfortable volunteering information to the police authorities, that's a challenge. What do we do about that?
Confidence building, nothing more. If locals see the police, not only the police, the security agencies, responding appropriately to informations given to them by locals, and the locals will feel confident to cooperate with them. Because all things that are happening around the country, I don't think it is the problem of intelligence. Intelligence gathering, whether it is local or by the security agencies, are being done, to my understanding, very well. But when it comes to implementation, something else happens. Our security agencies have informants all over the place, both local and those that are just extensions of the security apparatus. But unfortunately, when such information reaches which quarters where implementation should take place, things happen in a haphazard manner, to the extent that locals feel betrayed sometimes. And when you feel betrayed, there is no reason why you should volunteer information. We've had this experience in the past, not just in this government, where locals would come and give information, valuable information. We know where such people are keeping arms. We know where and how they collect arms. You can cooperate with us. We will give you the necessary intelligence. And in the end, the locals get betrayed. Sometimes some of them lose their lives after giving such information. So there is this disconnect caused by the system, not because the locals don't want to cooperate, but because the implementation of programs and projects by our security agencies towards curbing atrocities by insurgents, by criminals, after information is given, is sometimes not done in such a manner that the locals will be protected. That has to be corrected so that confidence building between locals and our security agencies can be enhanced for better performance and better results.
So when we put the same question to some retired police officers about this challenge that citizens have, usually highlight, some of the response they gave was that if a member goes to, or a citizen goes to, or you report a particular case to a policeman or station and you feel it's not being handled, you have to either locate the DPO or the next high-ranking police officer and then keep volunteering that information, because we can't throw our hands up in the air and say, because if we are going to be given out or identities revealed, we just have to fold our arms and then see how we can resort to other means. Do you agree that, well, yes, they have a point if they say, go to the next person, locate the DPO, and ensure that that information is volunteer, because you need to be protected at the end of the day?
To some extent, yes. You see, the infrastructure is such that there is a hierarchical way of handling information. If you meet, a local meets a junior officer and want to disseminate information, of course that junior officer would not want to be the right person, knowing that he cannot give directives for enforcement of any action with regards to curbing whatever security challenge that is out there. This system may have to be changed to allow for information to be collected by any officer, be he a constable or a senior officer, be he a non-commissioned officer in the military or a commissioned officer. Such information should then go through the hierarchy to whoever is supposed to process and give directives as to how to correct or rectify the situation. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where everybody seems to be frightened. You collect information if you are a police officer, and if you are senior, now comes and say, hey, who gave you the authority to do this or to act? Then of course you are in danger. Next time you will not do it. So there has to be some rejigging of the system within which these things operate. Then, of course, as I said earlier, confidence building between locals and our security agencies is very important.
When you say confidence building, what specifically should they need to do about that?
Come again, please.
Building. Could you be a little more specific? What do they need to do on both ends?
The problem is not with the locals. The problem is with our security agencies. The locals are always ready to disseminate information, be he a local hunter who moves around the bushes, be he people, travelers who see things happening, who move to forests, etc., etc. They are always ready to see that there is security provided in their areas. So they are always willing to pass information. But the problem is with the security agencies themselves. When you pass an information that, yes, I was in the bushes, I saw people whose identities are suspicious, and these people may be part of those committing crime A, B, C, etc. You pass this information, the next time you find yourself being a target. Why would you do it again? So the problem is not with the locals. To me, it is our security agencies, the system has to change to the extent that information has to be handled in such a way that locals will have the confidence to pass information to the security agencies. So that's the thing.
Let me ask you this same question maybe in a different way. How safe or how vulnerable are people who volunteer information to security operatives?
As it is now, they are really vulnerable. They are not protected. There are examples all over the place where people pass information, and in the end, they become victims. And because of that, so many who know and who see things happen wouldn't want to volunteer information. And that is the bottom line. And the problem is not with the locals who see the information, see things happening, refusing to pass information, but with the security apparatus.
Have specific cases. Has anyone ever brought, can you relate to a specific cases where this has happened, or this is largely what you've heard a lot of people say?
Let me give specific information. In 2014, truckloads of, actually trailer loads of people were brought from God knows where and was being settled in some forests in southern part of Borno. This information came to me through a local hunter that I should inform, because they felt threatened. They wouldn't want to talk to the security men on ground. I should please assist and talk to them, tell them that such a thing is happening, and they know where arms are being kept, that these people come in the night to collect the arms and maybe use them to attack locals. Now, I went as far as calling, finding the number of a security officer in that location to tell him that, please, a man would be coming to you, attach him to one of your officers in mufti, not in local dress, so that he will not be seen as an officer. He will show you a place where such things are happening. Please cooperate, you will then know what to do. The officer later told me that he has not received information from his seniors, and therefore he would not do anything about it. I'm just giving you this example. It happened with me. So if at this level we have such problems, why would that man who wanted to volunteer information now volunteer any information? So we have such instances all over the place, and unless the structure is such that information can reach, and then the information will be treated as it comes, we'll have problems.